like to call this meeting to order. This is a Leominster School Committee meeting. It is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. And this meeting was supposed to start at 6 o'clock, but the meeting starts now. We're at Appleseed's Restaurant. Would you all stand and join me in salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For those that couldn't attend or want to watch this over again because the first experience wasn't good enough, Comcast channels 99 and FiOS channel 33 taped the show for us. So now we'll move on to the public comment session of the meeting. Would anyone like to address the school committee? If so, the microphone right there. Sit down, make yourself comfortable, and just your name for the record, please. Anyone like to address the committee? Don't run all at once. Make a move, a motion, some sort of communication non-verbally. If not, second time. And your last chance to speak at the February 2nd school committee meeting. Okay, if not, we'll close this portion of the meeting. We're going to move on to communications.
No communications.
Yes, let's read the school committee statement. It's okay. Above all others, the committee represents the needs of all Leominster Public Schools students and places their interests above all others. We will exercise leadership, adhere to our protocols, and base our decisions upon a reasoned assessment of all available information. We will advocate for each of our schools and support high-quality public education in the city. Communications, Superintendent?
No communications.
And we'll go on to a student report.
All right, so unfortunately, Valan couldn't make it, but for LHS, Ignition Show Choir earned a bronze with a great performance at Tangasqua High School. Gil Cohen of Concert Band and Rowan Irizarry of Chorus will be performing at the Massachusetts Music Educators Association's All-State Festival on March 21st at the Hanover Theater. Early College ran their seminar today, and the SELA biliteracy testing is also at the end of February. Spirit Week is next week. The themes in order are Winter Sports or the Patriots on Monday, Adam Sandler for Tuesday, 2016 for Wednesday. Thursday has differing themes for each class, and on Friday is the Winter Carnival. And in CTI, third term marks the start of freshmen being placed in permanent shops. 8th grade CTI open house is Saturday, March 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. There are now 22 juniors and seniors taking a co-op with 7 who joined just in January. And across both schools, course selection is starting on Friday and goes throughout next week. Seniors must order caps and gowns by February 13th, which was an extension from a past due date. And finally, attendance matters, so make sure your kids are coming to school.
So you have till February 13th to order your cap and gown for graduation in June. That's a lot of planning. You should just make it cost more at the end. Okay, thank you. Any questions? If not, thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Superintendent.
Thank you, Hirsch, for helping me with my list. January 22nd, we entered the third marking term. So just a reminder to families and caregivers that this is a great opportunity for students to reset and gear up for a very successful third marking period. Winter sports continue throughout the month, so there are a lot of great athletic events happening daily. So please look at our athletic schedule and support our students. February break is coming up, so February 16th to the 20th, school will be closed. MCAS will be coming up for grades 3 to 10 in March, so please look out for that schedule. It's really important that students take part in MCAS and do their best. MCAS scores help us look at how students are growing and help us to support them in the upcoming school year. So we still take it very seriously, and we hope that families can help us encourage students to do their very best. March 4th is going to be a professional development day in district, and students do not have school on Wednesday, March 4th. So I want to make sure families prepare ahead of time for that. And then finally, I want to thank the DPW, our facilities department, and school custodians for clearing our schools and making them ready for students last week. When there's a large storm, it's always tricky. It's hard to move the snow into spaces that allow us to have safe spaces and ample parking, and all of our departments worked together and worked really hard. So I just want to thank everybody for that. And that's it,
Okay,
Mayor.
questions? All right. We'll now move on to presentations and discussions. We have a drone footage of the alumni field. Is this live out there right now? You got a drone hovering above the 8 feet of snow?
Slam the table. It's tight. Hi. So earlier this year, we were asked to try to get some footage of the progress in the backfield. As you all know, there's a big undertaking going on there to put some fields in. And so we had access to a drone that the district owns, and we grabbed some footage. Evan took over the piloting,
All right, Evan.
which is good because God only knows I'd have been picking it up from Crocker Field somewhere. Yeah, so we got a good amount of footage over a few weeks back in the fall. We're hoping that perhaps we can get back to that in the spring and get some more updates in there. I don't know, Evan, did you want to say anything about what you actually did before we throw the video up?
Not really much to say, but we took off from the far Ewing lot, which is on Granite Street, and we flew over the school, did a lap. Most days we just did a lap around the construction site and then flew back. We did also use this drone to film the chorus concert that was held in the courtyard of LHS this fall. And so we also have footage of that, as well as I did a couple aerial shots of the school as a whole during the day to show all the parking lots and everything like that.
Some of that is in this.
Some of that's included, yes, in the
Cool.
video.
So, go.
Yeah.
Can you stop it right there? No, there's no way of stopping that. Can you go back a little? So interesting enough, that parking lot where you see the cars parked has a whole entire underground baffle system for drainage. And every time it's rained, yeah, that parking lot, there is nothing down there. Like, there is literally dry. And we don't understand it because see the other pad a little closer to where that roadway is, this way, like right there? It's drenched with water, and we don't understand why. But anyway, that's been compensated for, but it's like this mystery on why there's no water going into the baffles, because we built it for that, yet 10 feet from there is, so that's all being rectified, but it's one of the wonders of the world for me. So that would be the road coming in from the Granite Street. That's the road going out. We're leaving now, going out to Granite Street, or by the music department.
Granite Street.
Right.
You can see the big retaining wall.
This was after one of the large rainstorms. So
Ice
the
rink.
whole,
Turn it
the,
into ice rink.
the whole field is flooded.
But you have a new one, an updated one that shows the stone?
So the last footage we have,
From
and it is in
October.
here, is
It's October
yeah, the
16th, I think.
second week of October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the drone was needed for other things. And so
That's the stone.
Hoping to get back in the spring.
Yeah, so we watched them
Yeah.
bring in the stone.
Just thousands of yards of stone.
Yeah, constant dump trucks.
Yeah, at least there was a lot of motion to film. So this is basically, it's a nature documentary about dump trucks.
One thing I know is the field will be dry based on the stone they brought in. It's just incredible.
did a nice job not making us too dizzy with that. Mine would have been
Yeah,
all over the place.
The drone does most of the work. It's got a gimbal that the camera's attached to, and so it stabilizes itself when it flies, and it's got sensors around it so you can sense when, like, it was even hard landing in the parking lot because it won't let you get close to cars.
Right.
It makes you stay 5 meters away.
When either Dean or you, when you were saying that area right there,
Mhm.
you were saying there was a lot of bafflement, it was dry.
The parking lot.
Did they do any studies about why it was dry?
They just did a really good job.
We just assumed the whole thing was wet, so it was based on that, because you're not gonna go back after and tear it all up. It's just curious. Because probably the other water in the other areas, it's all clay, wasn't draining into the ground. So once we put the system under there and handle that water through detention basins, we should
I
be
think a
fine.
lot of it runs down toward that E-wing.
Right.
And there's a big drain in that E-wing parking lot. I know from being here when we flooded, being at the school during that,
Right.
it runs down around the building.
It's wet, and it's not good material to drain. It doesn't like water.
I don't know if anybody had any questions about any of that.
Oh, that's great.
Really good.
Exciting.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Sal wants to know, he works for a supermarket, wants to know if he could pick up groceries for his customers, maybe deliver them.
Well, the drone's
the drone.
the drone itself is about that big. It's about a foot square, and so it's not really.
1-2 eggs at a time.
If you're interested, I don't know how interested you are in drones, but the one we have at the police department is amazing. And you can watch it from your phone if you want. But if you're interested in drones, we can cut you out of here for a couple hours next time they test it.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Talk to Sal, see if he knows when they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Like the drones with the goggles you're on?
Yeah.
Oh, is it like that?
Yeah, it connects to my phone, and so I can see the footage live while I'm flying it.
That's
so I
pretty
can
cool.
tell what I'm looking at, and the camera itself can tilt up and down, and then I can turn the drone to.
So we
capture.
never left the Ewing parking
Yeah.
lot, even though it was on the total other end of the building.
But do you have your own drone at home?
I do. Yeah, I have 2 actually.
Nice.
Okay, here comes the favors. You mind going over my backyard?
We just hey.
What is the magnification like? How close up can you get?
We can get pretty close. I don't know the exact specifications on it. I don't know.
I actually don't know.
I don't
We
know
didn't
what
really
that
look.
is.
We didn't
Yeah.
do a lot of zooming. Most of that is
No.
just, the video is just the height that he was flying at.
Yeah.
At its base level. I'm not sure what the zooms it has on.
Oh, you can zoom in on that one, you can zoom in on people.
Yeah, we could.
I don't know.
We could magnify the video afterwards to
Yeah.
zoom in on certain
Yeah.
things.
I don't know if you could,
We wanted to if
that's the
we were
flight,
able to,
it's the
that was-
flight path over there for the airport, so.
Yeah,
Really?
and well,
Too
and
close?
even here we were staying below 100 feet.
Yeah.
So we were within FAA regulations.
It's pretty cool. Thank you for doing that.
That's
Pretty sharp. Nice job. Nice job. Pretty good. Okay. Attendance presentation.
Robin would like to introduce them.
Sure.
Thank you. So this presentation is around the efforts that we have been making to build out an attendance department. So we have not had that previously. When I entered the district, we had a 1 FTE full-time position at the high school that was titled attendance officer, I believe. And that was a fairly new position. I don't know the history of it, but it was fairly new. At the end of this year, the person that was actually in that position had accepted a teaching position in our district, and so the position became available. Based on the school improvement plans for every single school, not just the high school, one of the goals and every single plan was around improved attendance. And so what we did was we created a few part-time 18-hour-a-week positions to complement the full-time attendance officer position and moved that all under our pupil services, under the guidance of Jenny Allen, who's here today to talk about how far we've come and also introduce the team. Go ahead, Jenny.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jenny. We will get to everybody else that's sitting up here. So why attendance is a district priority? In order for students to be successful, we need them sitting in front of us. We are at, I think, around 90 days, give or take. And so chronic absenteeism, which can impact students if they're not sitting in front of us, it's 10%. And so that would be about 9 days, give or take. A student, if they've been out for that amount of time, they're already chronically absent, which is something that is our focus. All right, so what Superintendent mentioned, our purpose and role. So we were looking, part of it was to take some of the work off of the schools to make sure that, they were able to focus on things in school. We were also looking at being the bridge between the families and the schools. And so we were looking for people that had really good people skills, because when you're working with families, sometimes you have to have really difficult conversations, and it's not always easy. There are reasons and different challenges of why students might not be in school. And so it takes some pretty special skill sets to be doing what we're doing. And here's our team right here. So we'll start with Frankie.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Frankie. I am the full-time attendance officer. So I mostly stay at the high school, which is mainly my focus. But I am district-wide, so I do try to help out as much as I can with all the other schools. My skill set would be I'm bilingual, so I'm able to speak to the Spanish families.
One of his names.
Hi, everybody. My name's Tom. I'm the middle school attendance officer. I rotate between the two middle schools. My background is high school guidance and middle school guidance. I've been a guidance counselor at both levels.
Hi, I'm Alicia. I mainly focus on elementary schools. I have my LSWA, and I previously worked in foster care at Luck as well as residential services, and previously had experience as a paraprofessional.
So this team here, I believe all of you went through Leominster schools as well, which is kind of a nice, it's kind of nice because they understand what every school is doing from both a student perspective and being on the other side of things now. And so some of the things that we've found is that in the last couple years, the attendance rate has been about below 90 percentile. We do see it increasing. It's been better this year, actually. It's on a trend. We use a platform called Open Architects that we use on a daily basis that lets us know what the percentages of students coming into school. And we definitely see an uptick, as you can see with the district attendance trends. So actually we got this out of Open Architects. So we're around 93.7 for the district as a whole, which is good, but our goal is higher.
What do you think is causing the uptick for this year compared to the last 2 years?
Well, I'd like to say the attendance team.
Exactly.
To be honest with you, and that's being somewhat but in all honesty, I mean, these three work really well with our schools in general, not just the administrators, the counselors, the teachers. It's all hands on deck. Attendance is really a shared responsibility, so it can't just fall on one person, and that includes the schools as well. And so I think with this team of being able to take some of that off of the schools, I think has helped because they've been able to establish relationships with families or reestablish relationships.
In the essence of time, can we start at the end, which is why aren't kids coming to school? I mean, I love your presentation, I love all the colors, everything.
Yeah.
So we have the very people here. I want to make good use of the people that are here, talking to the families and the individuals. So I know there are all kinds of things, and there are some things that you can do about them, and other things that maybe you look like you all have patience. So some things may take longer, 2 or 3 months. First of all, if you had to generalize it, and without graphs or charts or anything, why aren't kids coming to school? COVID's over.
The mental health struggles, a lot of kids struggling social emotionally. Could be a lot of medical stuff going on. Parents don't get the doctor's notes, since we kind of explain to parents the importance of getting doctor's notes. I think at the middle school level, that's kind of the main thing I've seen so far. Probably mental health struggles and physical health. Like, I'm sick, I'm not going to school, kind of thing.
Right.
Some of the families, it's single moms. So if the student misses the bus, then the kid does not get to school. It might be that they are a one-car family. So if one parent takes the car to work, then they don't, and they miss the bus, then there's no way for them to get to school. So we've seen that at a few.
Mm-hmm.
I think with some families too, we've seen like a cultural difference in their countries. Like school is not a main priority or something that the kids are accustomed to going to all the time. So we've ran across that as well.
What percentage would you say is mental health or social emotional? Is it high?
Oh, yeah, I said the middle school level, definitely high. Yeah.
And I think it's not, I would say mental health in general, it's not just students. I would say it's the adults as well that might, so if it's impacting the parents, then it's impacting the kids that may or may not be coming to school. So that's a big part of it.
So I assume this is the same situation. If you go to another city somewhere where superintendent came from in Lowell or other cities, gateway cities across the state, I'm sure it's the same sort of thing. So how do you sort of interact with those families to get them the help that they need through either other agencies? You said you worked at other agencies, or get the help within the schools that they need for the student. Is that measurable? Can you say, well, we brought 5 extra kids in because we ended up connecting them with the guidance or the social worker or someone?
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that?
Sure, yeah. We partner with an agency called Fitchburg Resource Center. Oftentimes, so if a parent, or a student comes to us being like, one of the barriers for me not coming to school is mental health. This agency supports and getting the family therapy for the child and stuff, so we can count the amount of referrals we did. Then we'll track those referrals and look at the attendance, being like, since that referral's in place, has the kids' attendance been, improving? And I would say for the most part at the middle school level, I have seen that positive uptick with the FRC referral, and the kid is coming, and I'm sure Alicia and Frankie can speak to the same at the elementary and high school level. But I feel like the community partnership with FRC is probably the biggest intervention that we do for mental health supports. And I would say 9 times out of 10, from my point of view, the attendance has improved since that referral was made.
Do you find that people are pretty forthcoming about what is preventing their kids from coming to? I mean, I imagine it's very difficult to talk about some of those things, but you can't get help if you're not telling people.
Yeah, I mean, and I explain sometimes to families, I used to be a guidance counselor, so part of my job as a guidance counselor was really focused on attendance and stuff, like at the middle school and high school level. And a huge barrier for kids when I was a guidance counselor was, I'm not coming to school because I'm struggling with bullying or mental health. So that we partner with other agencies and other districts that I was at. So yeah, I'm comfortable having those conversations, and I feel like most parents, when you level with them, they're also pretty comfortable. I mean, sure, there's some cultural differences, but I mean, for the most part, I'd say most of the parents in Leominster are receptive to having those conversations.
That's great.
It's building the rapport with the families too.
Yeah.
Like, we do home visits. I would say that we've noticed when we go to their homes that the students are doing better with showing up.
Josh?
I just wanted to, how do we get the word out that there's a team like this that's available for other families that might not know it yet?
Or it's not really a problem yet, but it could become a problem.
I mean, I don't want to say we don't want to work ourselves out of a job, but really, we don't, unless you've heard from us, then that means your kid's coming to school.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
But there's got to be some families that could use that that help as well.
Or they're
They
heading,
might be on the
in a
fence.
month that, things might get difficult or they're going in the wrong direction.
So I think that's the key is that this team and, as I said, Tom and Frankie and Alicia go out and talk to people at the home level, right? They also speak to the students themselves in school. And they track data and look at data regularly. And so to your point, as Jenny said, 10% of school time is determined. If you miss 10%, you're chronically absent. So what that requires is for us to be looking at this data daily. So if you have 8 absences today, you're not chronically absent. But if you're out 2 more times this month, you become chronically absent. And so really the key is to have the staff that can be looking at this data every day and reaching out to someone who may be struggling today that was not struggling with attendance a month ago. And so it's really a responsive group that responds immediately. Whereas at the school level, that might not always be the case because it's one item of many items that the administrative team is trying to address throughout the school day. This allows a group to be able to really analyze that data and be responsive quickly in concert with the work that's going on at the school level.
Are you also tracking or getting students, helping families where there might be chronic lateness, tardiness? So they might not be absent,
Flying
but
under
they
the
might
radar.
be missing, the first period every day.
Yes, we're tracking all of that. Yes, which brings us to
Yeah, I was wondering who this
to
person is.
highlight Carlos here. So Frankie meets with CTI every Monday on a weekly basis, and he noticed that we won't say the specific amount of days, but that Carlos had been out. And so he brought that to the guidance counselor and principal's attention, and he then became on their radar. And so Carlos is here to speak to that.
Good evening, my name is Carlos. I'm a senior here at CTI. After my attendance, I met with the principal, guidance counselor, and the guidance mentor. We talked about my dismissals, my tardies, all my absences, and we made a plan to change it all around. And our primary goals were to obtain all the hours I needed for graduation, qualify for the co-op program that we have here at CTI, achieve good grades, and then successfully transition into the workforce after high school, then to not skip school, not leave early, nothing of that. And this follows a meeting with Ms. Koska, Ms. Benoit, where a history of more than 10 tardies or 10 absences put me in jeopardy of possibly further consequences, such as not graduating or receiving shop certifications.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So I think generally when people see these numbers, and I guess what the state is doing is they're forcing the issue. I get it. They're forcing the issue when they don't know the circumstances. And that's silly, but at the same time, when you see 93%, it seems like a big number. I'm not defending the number, but the reality is, out of that, I don't know what the percentage of students you're working with have mental health issues or special needs. Imagine trying to get a kid in the bus in the morning. 9 days can go by real easy with a special needs child. So the state's not understanding that clearly because they're saying, well, you're 93, you want 100% attendance. Well, take out special needs, take out the kid with mental health issues, what might be going on in the home. Take that out, and you're probably down to a small amount of students, right? I mean, maybe he wasn't interested. I'm like, you know what? I'm really bored sitting here. Why should I be here? I could be doing something else. I could be just watching the leaves change or taking a walk. Why am I sitting here? Some people have that attitude, like, I'm just wasting my time, right? So, but it's not the percentage that I think we're led to believe on the absenteeism, but I think that those that are under that umbrella, it's a lot of work. It's hand-holding, it's getting back in there, it's building a rapport and an understanding with them, and takes time, and it might mean moving to a different school. It might, if they're getting bullied, there ain't no way a kid's coming to school and they're gonna have a bellyache, a headache, an arm ache every day of the week. And as soon as you identify that, you can start working on that, because it's not a medical issue. they're terrorized about coming to school.
Dean, I think Sandy's gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sandy, go ahead.
I have a question with regard to how do you collect the data at the high school level for those students who are coming in second period, third period? Because that, when I was working here for many years, that is an issue. And even in terms of keeping that attendance, it's tricky because sometimes, I'm sure you're aware of it, they won't come in for first period for whatever reason, and then they show up
Oh, they know
second,
exactly
third,
what
fourth.
the cutoff is. I
So-
remember what the cutoff was.
You did that?
No, he didn't miss a day of school. He's like, he went to summer school voluntarily.
I knew at the time. So.
But I'm just curious about that because that is convoluted. I mean, that's difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like the first period teachers, but even on a rotating basis too, because then it's not always the same first period class.
Is that like when we have a 2-hour delay, it doesn't count as a full day off?
Well, I mean, you know, if you get students, I'm just
You
wondering.
didn't answer
how-
my question.
Yeah, how you collect that
Yeah,
data.
it's the same thing.
Because that was, it could be an ongoing problem, and it's not a huge percentage. It may just be 2%, 3%, but there are those frequent flyers where, you know, you're trying to track them down. Where are they now, first period, and then they show up, and then so I was just wondering.
So you deal with those chronic come in late, and some people, I know people that you cannot get them awake by 9 o'clock in the morning. But are you dealing with some of those issues where the principal or whoever says, hey, listen, this kid's in here, maybe it's not 9 days, but he's chronically late or she's chronically late? Is that the question? Yeah, so are you dealing with them as well?
We track that. Part of it, part of what helps us is open architects, but the other piece, and it speaks to these guys just knowing how to work with people and talk with people. It's a team effort, right? And so Frankie's talking with the dean. If he notices that the student has been out for the last, or tardy for the last 4 days, he's going to reach out to the dean, the guidance counselor, maybe the teacher. So he, and all of them, depending on the level, they'll bring all of the team members in and then have a conversation and then figure out who's reaching out to the parent. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but we're definitely following it and tracking it.
Ron?
I think it's a great approach. I'm very impressed because it is about teamwork and it's about data collection. It's about tracking. It's about and paying attention.
Yes, yes.
And thank you, Carlos, for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Carlos, you looking for a job?
Yes.
I mean, you may be the perfect candidate.
Plumbing job.
A plumbing job, we could give you, you could do both. Ron, you had a question? Okay, thanks for not asking that then. Ice. Is there problems with ice? Kids not coming to school?
Students aren't coming to school? Yes. No. That's not something if they've shared that with us, that's one thing, but that's not been part of what we've been doing. That hasn't come up for us.
Do you have any numbers for students that might not be reachable? You mentioned medical issues. I imagine that if someone has serious medical issues, they're not someone where you can get them to attend with any kind of system. Do you have any, what is the ceiling for people that could attend but just have these small barriers versus major life reasons why they're chronically absent? Or if you don't have numbers, do you have a sense of if that's a big or a small number?
So I would say typically for those that have documented medical conditions, those students would have other interventions already in place. And so that's when we would be talking with the teacher potentially, and they would say, well, the parent has already let us know that the student has medical conditions. You don't need to reach out to them. They might be at 50 absences. They might still be on our radar, but it's not something for the attendance team to follow up with because it's already documented.
Or for something similar?
Sometimes those kinds of situations, they would have tutoring.
Yeah,
they would
bringing
have
homework.
To the hospital.
Right, that software that we used in the
various
past.
Things would be put into place because they would have a special needs and then qualify for some accommodations.
Josh?
First, I just want to say to Carlos, thank you very much for sharing. I think when people share stories like that, it normalizes it for other people that might want to work with this team. So I think that's hugely courageous. You should be proud to be here.
Thank you.
And I
And
was gonna say, you were very articulate.
yeah,
And you should be very, congrats to you and very proud of yourself that you're back on track. That's
absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you want to become a plumber.
Yeah.
Trust me.
It,
You want to become a plumber.
You make more money than like most of us.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say thank you to the entire team because I think this is probably some of our most important work in the entire district. And to hear that you guys are having success, that's been a concern of ours for a long time, that being able to reach students with mental health issues to get them back to school. So thank you very much.
How do you communicate this, like what you told us tonight, to the state so that they can understand that, listen, this is 93% because technically they're not out 9 days. However, there's a story behind this. It's not just data. These are people. These aren't widgets. There are other things going on. And is that communicated somehow to the state when they're doing their data counting?
I don't know about individual stories. I know that.
I'm just saying in general,
Yeah.
is it communicated to the state?
So the state really just goes with hard numbers. And so this work is every day. I think I track on Open Architects where we're at. And every day we are doing better with average daily attendance than we did last year or the year prior. And so I think the state will recognize that we are doing better with daily attendance and reducing chronic absenteeism. And that is part of the accountability system. They don't actually allow us to provide stories, but I think that's why we were so grateful to have a licensed social worker, a former guidance counselor, and someone who can also communicate in multiple languages, because that's what's making the difference for our students and our families. And so really our data has improved, and that has been the goal of all of our schools. Their school improvement plans the goal has been for improved daily attendance. And so I think it will all support improved student outcomes for us with the state data, but they don't allow us to provide that detail.
I guess they're not interested, but it's generic by saying we've got 93% attendance rate, when there's more to the story than that. And to tell some parent who's got a sick kid or special needs that, hey, your kid's been out 15 days. Do you know what it's like to try to get my kid on the bus if he wanted to get him up, dressed when he doesn't want to get dressed or she doesn't want to? That, for them to just put the blinders on and act as if that isn't part of the equation here. The other thing is, my last question is, you work with our outreach team at all, the police department?
Yes.
If you should definitely work with them, because they're an amazing team of people, and they're probably in some of the same homes that you are, and sort of the combined forces might help you and them. All right, any other questions? Yes, Ron?
Success rate, pictures. Every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or
Quarterly.
the superintendent.
I don't know that we need every 2 weeks, but.
I gave a number, I mean, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be, just to see the success rate and where you're having red lines, where you're having problems, issues.
Good point, Ron. It will allow us to put more resources towards where it needs to go, right?
Just to kind of give us a heads up where we are succeeding, where we are have a potential for failure. There's an option.
Mr. Gregg?
Yeah, so last thing I would just say is this group kind of responsible too for sharing success stories between schools? So if like one school is doing really well at attendance, or, are they sharing that? Is there an avenue to share that with other schools so that they can kind of repeat those things that have worked?
Best practices.
So that's something that you guys do too?
Well, it's just natural, like if Alicia's at one elementary school and she sees something working that hasn't been shared yet, then she'll bring it to another school. So yeah, I mean, it's literally all hands on deck.
Yeah.
It's a team approach.
Because, we've talked about kind of responsiveness, but proactiveness too is good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. That was excellent. And
That really
and
was.
That makes it personal for us. It makes us better understanding of the situation. So keep up the good work. And Carlos, get the double degree up here and get your journey persons and then your license.
Thank you. Daddy got a perfect award.
She got a perfect award.
Your daughter she hasn't had any days off?
Nope. I make her go even.
Well, some might say that you're the motivation for that.
You stay home, I'm staying.
That's right. You stay home, I'm staying home. Okay, we're gonna move now into some acronyms, DLT and PLC presentations. Whatever that means. It's a rap song.
It's a rap song.
My microphone's off.
More paper. You guys invested in Maine lumber companies or something? We have extra here if anybody wants that last presentation. We have a couple extras here. We're actually, hold on to these when we have our meeting with the school committee. You can share these just as a matter of fact, just kind of pass out, right? Aren't we having I'm sorry, city council, when we have the combined meeting there? We'll keep these, I guess, that's what they wanted, right? Yeah. We're gonna have a joint meeting, I thought.
So I'm just also going to introduce,
Another meeting.
quickly, I'm just going to clarify what this is. So DLT is our district leadership team. It's made up of all of our school administrators. They meet monthly for professional learning. And so this presentation speaks to the work that we're doing with our leadership team, but also it speaks to the work that our leadership team is also doing with the professional learning communities, which are teacher grade levels at the school level. And so our focus this year is on data cycles and creating data cycles that work within the school, individual schools at the grade level teams, so that everyone is looking at how to improve student outcomes through data. And so Janine is here to talk a little bit about the work we've been doing with our leadership team, which is then translating into work that they are doing with their grade level teams.
Yes, thank you. So data-driven instruction is something that the superintendent started the year off, even our kickoff event, we were talking about that. And then also talking about learning collaboratively as professionals. And so this kind of all comes together through this process. So, what is data-driven instruction? Simply, it's, just making instructional decisions based on data. And so that really just means having a cycle that is really intentional. So here's an assessment that we're going to give our students. We're going to then gather the data from that assessment, really analyze it, have a discussion, and decide how we're going to adjust our instruction based on what we see from the student work, and keeping that cycle going in a really tight way so that the instruction is really adjusted in the moment to serve the student's needs. How is it different than other instructional approaches? I don't know that it's different. I think it's a process that lives alongside instruction. So it's planned on the insights from the data so that you're really specifically addressing areas. And then it's that coherence to the cycle, right? Like always having that feedback cycle looping so that the student outcomes improve over time. So again, it's something that we kind of do alongside general instructional practices. This next piece will tell us about some benefits of data-driven instruction. Here's where it's something that's beyond just kind of the intuitive piece that all teachers have around their students and the work, but they actually are looking at the student work in a really clear way regularly. And sometimes, it's around smaller pieces of data. Sometimes we'll say like big data, small data. So we have our MCAS scores, of course, But, those come through once a year. Or we have our iReady scores, for example. And you have a really strong progress monitoring from the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, the end of the year. But being in a cycle like this, you're also looking at your formative assessments, so your small data, right? The little exit tickets that students will do at the end of the class period, or really short quizzes that are low stakes. So students just get a chance to check in with themselves at the end of the period. Am I on track? Am I getting it? And also teachers are able to then take that and, really quickly get a sense of the student work in their classroom with objective data, and not just in kind of like, I feel that most of the students got it by the end of the class period. So in that way, they're able to then design their lessons immediately the next day to provide some more targeted student support. And it's continuous. It's that sustainable loop that makes a difference, right? Because they're always looking at the students' needs and they're adjusting in the moment and going round and round. When students know that they're getting responses to their work on a really regular basis, then they're more engaged. They know where they are in their learning. And for teachers too, it just leads to more reflective practice because they know what did I do in today's lesson that hit, right? That the students really are telling me in their exit tickets that they fully understood, or what do I need to do tomorrow because this small group of students still needs some intervention. And so those are the benefits of moving through a data cycle like this. What does it look like in action? You need the structures and the systems in place. Research will show that, it has the largest impact when it can be adopted in a larger scale way. And so that usually means school-wide or district-wide. In our case, we're lucky that everybody has really kind of like looked at what we could do to enable this at the school level and then how we can help at the district level. So at the school level, and this is really kudos to all of the school leaders that have worked to program time for teachers to work collaboratively around their data. And that is in direct, service of their school improvement plans. So every school has time for their teachers to meet, whether it's weekly or on a cycle, for example, at the high school, right? And teachers meet regularly to talk about the student work that they are seeing. And then what we have tried to do at the district level is to provide more of the structure. So this last chart here, you'll see this is an example. I think this is a graphic that has been seen far and wide, especially at our district leadership teams where we're working with the school leadership, the principals and the assistant principals, and our content specialists and special ed coordinators around what a professional learning community looks like. So yes, the schools have provided the time for the teachers to be together and to collaborate. And then following a data cycle in this way gives the structure to the conversation. So teachers come together. They started the year really analyzing big data, as I would say. They would they looked at their iReady scores, they looked at their MCAS scores, they looked at trends, and they started their cycles there. So they set goals based on what they saw in those beginning of the year reports. And then setting the goals, there's also this movement into learning individually and collaboratively, really spending time. What are some instructional practices that either we're sharing amongst ourselves because they're best practiced and there's a teacher who says, I get great results with this, so let's all try this. Or there's some research involved. Have we looked at some articles? Have we done any research into some other practices, some other tools, some other technologies that we might want to try? And then we can try them together. And then that's the implementation stage, and they try it out. And then it's monitor, assess, and adjust. So let's see some of those low stakes quizzes. Let's see some of those exit tickets. Let's see, maybe a larger summative assessment for a unit, and find out how the students are doing, and do we need to make any adjustment and try something different? And what can we celebrate as well? So that's kind of the data cycle in a nutshell, and it's really been the focus of our conversations at the district leadership team. And I don't have the team of content specialists here, but I really need to shout them out too, because they have been working with the grade level teams really closely on the cycle. and just facilitating those conversations and lending support as we all kind of move through the cycle newly this year.
Come on, Greg, I know you have a question.
Of course.
Go ahead.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the specific data points that teachers are looking at? I'm assuming that we have some goals as a department, and then maybe down to a teacher level because every student's different. Could you maybe give me some examples of what's being used right now?
Sure. So a couple of the elementary schools have had a real emphasis on writing. And so they started the school year looking at some MCAS data or iReady data, and they filtered through the domains and focused on specific writing skills, topic sentences, for example. And so then they would set a goal around how might we teach topic sentences in a really granular way, try that out. What kind of scaffolds might students need? What kind of supports or enrichments? And then kind of come around to the circle and see then, are their topic sentences stronger? And can we move on to further development of a paragraph? That's an example. Another example that we're seeing a lot of success with right now at the middle schools are around just using exit tickets. So that's a neat one because it is cross-disciplinary, right? So
Exit ticket, I'm sorry, is what?
yeah, thank you.
I don't mind asking the dumb questions.
No, there are no dumb questions. An exit ticket is really just it's not even a quiz. It could be one problem, one math problem at the end of the
A
period.
pop-up, something pops up.
I can't leave until I solve it.
Yeah, or just try,
It's my hall pass.
Something like that, right? Or like a question that, what was the big question of our lesson today? Go ahead and put your answer down. And then, and so it's just a moment for the students to be able to consolidate their learning and show how much they understand from what that lesson's objective was that day.
And how much, I'm sorry if there was somebody else that's another question, but how much are we relying on our teachers to compile this data and analyze it? And how much do we have the technology in place to do that analysis for them? Because I love data, big data guy, but how much we require our teachers to do manually can hinder us even more. So could you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that what's important is the time that's set aside for the grade level teams or disciplinary teams if it's set up that way. And an exit ticket or something that's small like that can be, sorted, if you will, and reviewed very quickly in the moment and with your colleagues there with you, right? So it's like a quick, we've got a lot of green here, yellow, red, right?
Average. Yeah.
And now I'm with my colleagues saying, okay, what did you do for your students who struggled? What could I try next time? Or ooh, this surfaced. This is a misunderstanding, like a misconception that we didn't see coming, but here it is. So how are we going to address that tomorrow? So it's less about record keeping when you're on a tight cycle like this, and we're practicing and getting better. Less about record keeping and more about the in the moment adjustment that you can do with your colleagues collaboratively. You're still going to rely on your summative assessments and your big data to get
I like that
the
example
student
you gave.
outcomes.
I thought that was a good approach.
So let me just walk you through. We've done data-driven decision-making at city level for many years. I've talked about it here. I don't always know whether anybody's listening, or I'm probably explaining it incorrectly. So I try to reduce it to simplicity because if I can understand it, maybe other people can. So if you start off with 20, let's take math. And we start off, and I'm doing this based on what I know about our system. And we start off, and there's 20 students in a class, and we're all taking math, 4th grade math. And we're all going along week 1 and 2, everybody's with us. Week 3, Dean's a little slow on it. He's not picking up on, his 6 times 6s or whatever it is. Triggers a ticket, right?
What's that?
He triggers a ticket. I'm not keeping up.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else, the other 19 kids are doing just fine. I'm not. I took a test, something's wrong. We have software that we use that analyzes all this. So your observation as the teacher, the para, whoever else was in the class, my test, whatever, I pop up. I assume a tutor jumps in or the teacher jumps in, somebody jumps in and says, Dean, let's sit down and go over this.
Yeah.
so we can get you back on. So I get back on, and now we're in week 5 and 6. So my question is, if this is the process that we use, and there's a ticket or there's something that signifies I'm falling behind, we should all, by the end of the year, hypothetically, be arriving at the same finish point, correct? Right. But that doesn't equate to what Greg and I and others talk about. It doesn't equate to our testing. And that's the mystery.
Well, I think like really getting tight here
I get it.
is the plan to arrive at the goal.
That's what we heard when we bought all this software. It was going to do the analyze it and tell us when somebody wasn't keeping up, so we could jump, stop, let the other group continue, get them back on track, and they're all going to finish at the same level. And that's not happening. So, and this, I'm not criticizing anybody. I think the mystery is for us is I walk into a classroom at 3rd grade and I'm amazed at what goes on. But I don't think that's equating to testing, the test results. And that's my new thing that I'm on now is what I see in the classroom that's being taught, not ending up as a result. And are they just not good test takers? Because I know plenty of people, myself included, that weren't great test takers, depending on what the subject was. So you see what I'm saying? In other words, if this in theory works and we're in math, every child, every student, just like when we made a goal of 3rd grade reading, every kid's going to reach 3rd grade level at 3rd grade, then we should all arrive at the finish line at the end of the lesson plan in week 32 or whatever it is, at the same time, knowing the same things. We should all be testing pretty much, right? I mean, it's not unfair to,
I think
that's where you want to go.
that's where we want to go.
Well,
I
yeah.
think that's where we want
I
to go.
understand.
I do think that something, I think there's some untapped potential in this, in participating in a cycle like this, when you get very good at it with a group, right? In my experience, is not only do you look at, okay, someone's exit ticket, for example, that's an example, obviously, but they need an intervention in a different way, right? But as you're going through this step 5, where you really pause and monitor and assess, it's the teacher is assessing and the students then also start self-assessing, right? Like as you get better at this, right? Because some time is set aside to say, okay, everybody take a minute, let's consolidate our learning for a second, let's see where we are. And the students have a chance to self-assess. And not only that, it builds a little bit more muscle memory, if you will, right? So you're consolidating as a learner along the way more frequently when you're in a cycle like this. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to strengthen the connections that are made in the classrooms, because I agree that you could go into, you mentioned once at an earlier meeting, like something about going into a kindergarten class and seeing, I couldn't believe it.
I don't know what the,
Talking about, like,
I said,
volcanoes.
we used to do snacks and naps.
Right.
And now they're writing essays,
Right.
geometry, kindergarten.
So I think that there's a lot of opportunity there, and it's just about really tightening the cycle for the teaching and the learning for both.
But you agree, under hypothetical theory here, with everything that we're spending on education and the software that we're buying and data-driven decision-making. Now, math is different than writing sentences or essays, but I'm taking one thing. At the end of this year, every student in the Leominster Public School System should be finishing at the finish line at the same time if this theory works, correct? I'm taking math.
I think every student should have growth, that they could show that their learning has growth and that they have made gains from wherever they started when they entered that year. Because I think that this is.
I get all that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if the system works properly, and I use my own experience, I was absent apparently for 12 times 12, because everything else I got down in my brain. I could do it all day, and I never got it. And nobody ever stopped. Class moved on, and that was the end of that. But I'm just saying, that's where this system ought to be going. It's the only way it's going to work. Otherwise, we're going to continue to get bad testing results if either we leave a kid behind or we're not measuring or catching up that student so that at the end, or for some reason, kids aren't testing right. Go ahead.
Sandy's got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping under that, the benefits of data-driven instruction, that 4th bullet, because there have been concerns with regard to the limited engagement of some students when they were conducting the MCAS testing, because that is an issue.
Say that again? I didn't quite understand
Well,
that.
the MCAT, we're talking about
Yeah,
testing
yeah.
and the scoring. So when you're looking at that bullet under benefits of data driven, where it says, you know, in terms of looking at the students and their involvement and how that should help in terms of increasing those scores, because that is what we're looking at. That's the reality of it. I mean, whether they use MCAS now as a condition of a diploma doesn't matter, because if we're using that as a measurement, then hopefully all of this will pull it together and have them realize that even though it's not a condition of a diploma, that it does count towards something, because they haven't been as engaged as they should be. It's been a change, but I think depending on how it's approached in individual classes, that, you know, you do have to be concerned a little bit. You can't just blow through it and say, I'm done. They have to look at it more seriously. So hopefully something like this will help pull it all together moving forward.
Right. I think the regular feedback that students receive when teaching and learning is engaged in a cycle like this builds momentum for them. So they start to see progress a little bit more regularly, and it builds momentum, and that is what leads to increased engagement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ron, is your hand up or are you?
Yes, Ron.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Ron, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was listening. Okay, as you were talking, telling us, I wrote down in the middle of that round circle research, you've got 5 of these little spigots. All those spigots, which one is the most difficult to play with? And which one is the most easiest?
That's a great question.
Misconceptions and misunderstandings versus muscle memory.
So,
What I just wrote.
That's a whole different thing.
No, you're not.
But those 5 things you have, are they potential for misconceptions versus misunderstandings?
So I think the data is the student work, right? And the student work shows if students have misconceptions about something that they're learning, about a topic sentence, about a math problem. The data that's being analyzed is the student work, the student learning. And so then the teachers set the goals and say, okay, based on this analysis of student work, I can see that this student has misconceptions about how to do this math problem. So let's set a goal about how to teach that differently so that we can address those misconceptions. So that question you asked about what's the hardest part of the cycle, that's a great question. I think it's in the blue and the purple, because that's when you're really starting to think about what might we do differently with our instruction, and then trying it out. And that's where that's muscle memory.
But Ron, remember, we have some software in the system, and I'm not sure what all the names of it are, that do the assessment as you're testing, right? That do the testing, that sees that you're, and tries to come around and teach it a different way, get you to look at things a different way. So
That's the individualized.
right, so that's one piece of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you do this in writing sentences or critical thinking. I don't know how you measure. That's way beyond my expertise. I just have a license to drive, that's it.
I mean, the times that, in my experience, and when
Yeah.
I've seen it really come alive, it's the teachers sitting
Right.
at the table together. They're the ones with the expertise on how to teach a topic sentence, how to break it down for students, right? And so
Right.
they're the ones that then talk about what are our best practices for doing this.
And that's more
And they-
difficult than a math equation, because math's only got one right answer, but in an essay, well, I'm just saying, still, it's more difficult for some students. We're not all the same. We all learn differently, we all comprehend differently, and so that makes things more of a challenge. But this is definitely the way to go. I think this is a big help, but.
I would just say I agree that practicing it over and over again, that decision-making cycle, that OODA loop, or whatever we call it in this example.
Loop the loop.
The OODA loop.
Loop the loop.
Observe, whatever, orient.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the faster it should be to make decisions and to take action. So what I would say is another example of something tonight that would be nice to come back to is that after going through this in a few meetings, coming back and seeing that OODA loop or this process is becoming faster and the actions becoming quicker to implement and the strategy, because it's one thing to identify students that need help. It's another thing to actually implement it to action and what that is. But if you guys are doing this more consistently, that process should happen faster and faster.
Right.
And more
You
independent.
don't want to wait 3 months to find out what you thought was going to work didn't work, and now we're like 3 months behind.
What I
Obviously,
would
yeah.
personally like to see is when we come back to this in, I don't know, I won't say a month, couple months, is that we should be able to see data that indicates this process is becoming quicker and that we're seeing positive outcome for students. So.
Muscle memory.
Yes.
With practice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With enough protein.
Practice.
With enough protein.
Or chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets.
Things that have muscle memory.
Yeah, I think that term that you use it in is sort of a slang way of pushing the repetitiveness of this to some people need it over and over and over and over.
To me, my little mind, repetitiveness cultivates misconception and misunderstanding.
It could. It could. Yeah.
Whichever way you want to do it. I'm throwing it up there. Play with the words, whatever you want. Say it.
Both, it
Good,
can
bad, or indifferent.
yeah, reinforce both positive and negative, right? Outcomes. Depending on,
Back to my easy equation, Ron, is we all learn differently, and that's why some kids need a hands-on learning, and others can read a book and
Okay.
build a building.
Down to what she was saying. You're right. All kids, all adults, young and old, they all learn differently.
Yep.
What has been your problem? You find the problem that hurts you the most with these 5 little things that governs your behavior at night before you fall asleep.
Question for me, personally?
You don't have to tell us your personal. You don't like washing the dishes, so you throw them all away. Yeah. I think if you give an example of a situation in a classroom or a teacher, like a real example, but not naming the people, is to walk us through the process where, I gave one as math, but you know all the data here. So maybe take us through a data point where you started the beginning of the year, as you said, the superintendent, just something simple. It's not going to happen all in 1 year, but just take us through like an example of.
Yeah, I mean, I would think the topic sentences that I shared would be an example. A math problem would be an example. I think whatever the objective is for the lesson is then looking at how well are the students doing in achieving that lesson. If there are misconceptions that need to be righted, that becomes my goal. Okay, how am I going to then teach this differently? And then I want to talk to my colleagues and say, how do you teach this? How could we teach this?
A different way so that they understand it.
A different way so
Okay.
that they understand it. And then we all try it. We all implement that way that we've all decided on. That's the collective efficacy piece, right? Like if we're all doing something together, we're trying it out, and then we come back to the table and monitor, how did it go? Okay, we tried that strategy, and the students did another small exit ticket. Did they do better? If they did, we can move on. If they didn't, then we need to go through the cycle again.
Not to keep this going, but how does this work for the higher performing student? So when you go through, I know we've been talking a lot about like getting them up there. How about they're already there? How does this help them achieve further?
I mean, I think that's a great question.
Set new
too.
goals, right? Set new goals.
Set different goals,
Yeah.
right? Like what does the data tell you about their performance and how do we need to push them further into acceleration or enrichment, right? Yeah.
So that everybody.
That's my one for the night. See you guys.
I'm convinced that it comes to the final testing. I'm a believer that these students are doing a lot better in the classroom, but it isn't, and that's my new project is, what's the disconnect? Is it just some people aren't good test takers? They get you tell a kid, I remember telling my son, like, you have to pass MCAS in the 10th grade or you can't get out. And honestly, it's all I said to him every day is you have to pass this. You can't graduate. You get all A's in the 11th grade. Doesn't matter. You have to pass this. I think I had that kid so anxious and worked up about this thing. He passed it, and I think he thought he got accepted to Yale after he passed it because of that. But the reality is, there has to be, from what I see going on in the classroom, there's something going on. It's the test. Anybody else agree with me? I mean, what I see going on in the classroom is not reflective of the test results that I see. So either, I don't know, you spend time in the classroom, you tell me what's going on. This doesn't make sense.
It depends on the day of the week. It depends on the weather. It depends on, there are so many pieces. It really is complex because you're dealing with human beings. It isn't like being in a factory and you're producing a battery or something and everything is measured and it's precise. You're dealing with people.
Yeah.
You're dealing with
Human
people.
beings.
Breakfast that day, do you
Yeah,
know?
could
you're
be
gonna
that.
live when you
I
get home
agree.
at night?
That's what I'm saying is,
Be anything, yeah.
I think the key is engagement, right? Just so.
It's the engagement.
So like what this presentation is speaking to, the previous presentation, all the presentations that we've had on data around the math testing and things, it's how we engage students, how the teachers engage students. And from my perspective, it looks like this group is doing an excellent job at that. Specifically to speak to the sustainability point, if this group is learning individually what works best for them and then they get to go back to the group and lean on each other, well then the next person who joins that team gets to benefit from that as well. So sustainability wise, we can kind of meet them in the middle and then test them on a yearly basis and whatever other, frequency with iReady and whatnot. But I think to have somebody use data in real time like this, I think it's valuable.
It's the communication and teamwork and consistency. That's huge. That's huge because in order to work together, you have to be on the same wavelength.
I think that's probably the definition of a professional learning community, right? Is to work together and celebrate success stories and learn from mistakes.
And when you're talking about test taking, I mean, again, like I used to say, and I'm being facetious, but I could write an essay on any subject I don't even know about it and get an A on
Some
it.
people can.
But you want me to write, I don't know, fill in the blank or pick one of, 4 things, and I'm gonna be like, okay, no, like if it's in math, forget it. I'll
Right.
be like struggling for days. My eyes will glass
You
over.
can't fluff it. I get you. I know what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
So it depends, and the testing are very different,
All testing is biased too. I mean, that therein was the problem also in terms of intelligence quotients, where you've actually got 12 different types of intelligences, and it depends what you're filtering.
Things better than other things, and it's just.
I had a kid telling me that he didn't have to worry. All he had to do was score 75, and he passed.
Right.
Everything else is relevant.
It still passed.
Well, he wasn't having trouble learning. He was just, he set the bar a little low. That's all. He was a maintainer. He just wanted to maintain.
Everybody is, an overachiever. So, some people are just.
Probably think you needed a little bit more engagement, a little more motivation.
Right. But I think like
It's all different.
the idea of an idea lab where teachers are helping each other think through, what worked here, what, this didn't work on this student, but this worked here, is a good way to have it because, these people are all smart and sometimes we get caught up in something, we can't see it. So it takes another person to kind of take a look at it and see maybe what the problem was. But, I mean.
It's a cost if we do, cost if we don't, right? If we don't, you're just relying on data that you get once a year from the previous year.
So the last question is, do you think, Superintendent, I mean, just your personal experience, when we talk about individualized learning plans and everything, and we talk about AI and technology that a teacher can use as a tool, you think, I mean, as we're getting into individualized learning plans and everything, isn't that kind of the future for everything so that a student that's doing really well can sort of move on, and a student that maybe falls behind, we can get them back on track, and kids will learn it differently and learn different subjects based on their interest. I mean, is that really the future for us?
I think utilizing all of the tools that are available to us is the future, but I think building a situation where people are meeting every single week as a community of learners and being able to bring those items into the conversation is going to get us further than an individual by themselves having to try to figure it all out.
Yeah, no, I
So-
wouldn't say they figure it
Yeah,
out on their own, but
so-
you learn on
yeah,
your own level.
But for this structure is allowing a whole team of teachers to come together. And so, as Janine shared, if I do an exit ticket and all of my students pass that with flying colors, and I go into a meeting with other teachers who have a large number of students who maybe had a hard time with that exit ticket, I can share my lesson with that teacher, and that teacher can try it, and vice versa. And so I think that's the benefit of learning together, is allowing our teachers who really know what works and what doesn't work with students, being able to share amongst each other those resources. Some might be AI, some might be a particular software, some might be just really well differentiated lessons, but it's building that community where everyone is sharing those resources together and being able to try them, and then coming back to the table to see what students were able to be affected by those items and who might still need additional supports. And again, talking as a group about how we move those students. And I think that's where we're headed. I think if you asked any teacher, they would say, I know my data, I know my data. But we've been spending a long time talking about that
Yes.
and not seeing a lot of growth for certain students. And so this, we're hoping, will help to show more growth for all students.
And I would, in the world of AI and what my day-to-day stuff is focused in on, take the success stories and take that data and put it somewhere too, along with some of this data you're getting from the students, is that measuring success, because eventually AI is going to be able to take all that data, analyze it, and tell you what the best approach is to these subset of students based on historic success.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty cool, but you take that data and make it put it somewhere into a database or something so that it can be analyzed later on down the road.
So, speaking of data decision making, at the end of the year, when we come back here, we should be able to see some results of improvement, right? I'm not placing it on you, but we should be, between the technology and the software we've added, to the tutors, to the paras, to the teachers, to the testing, to everything that we've done, I mean, we should expect as a school committee on student achievement, we should expect that the testing that measures all of this is better, right? I mean, if not, we got to go back to deciding we didn't do it right. If we don't have better results, we have to go back and look at ourselves and say, we did something wrong here because this didn't work, right? I mean, so.
Especially if we invested dollars into that tool,
I
right?
was gonna say also just,
Of course.
comparing apples to apples, because, if you compare, freshman year this year and freshman year next year, you're not looking at the same students. So you wanna see the growth from students,
I know.
from year to year.
Some of our results
So
were not great. We should see some improvement. We should expect to
Right,
see some
right.
improvement,
You wanna see
regardless.
individual
Yes.
students
Yeah,
improve,
sure.
Because there could be various reasons.
Well, thank you. That was
Thank
engaging.
you.
See, I love conversations like that. That helps me better understand. So you can measure I learned tonight. I don't know how you measure it, but I learned.
You got to do an exit ticket.
Before we leave tonight.
What did you learn tonight, Pete?
This is all a problem before we leave.
I still say we just all learn differently. I'm amazed at some of my friends and the things that they can do, they cannot write it down. They can't anything, but it's amazing what they can do. Tear apart an engine. And I could barely stop my car with my remote. So what's that say, right? Okay, look at us. We're talking about student achievement, and that's what we set for this year. We're like, we're gonna talk about student achievement. So I feel good. Now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes.
I'd like like to.
where I was deprived pizza. I want that in the records, please.
January
All
20th.
right, we have a motion to second on approving the minutes, which include my deprivation of pizza, which makeup. Yeah, thanks. You'll step right up to get it to me. Okay, all in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Now we're going to move on to policy subcommittee. Do we have any updates?
Yes, we didn't have enough time to go through everything, and we do need to have some things revisited.
Okay.
But we did approve policy GBEBC, which is the gifts to and solicitations by staff. And we went with the MASC sample. So that was approved, so we will have that put on for first reading at the next meeting. And then obviously we have other things that we've tweaked and some things that we needed some other to run by.
Work in progress.
Yep.
All right, thank you. And now we'll move on to the money spending people, the finance update. You don't have anything tonight?
Don't give her any ideas.
Do you have any warrants?
Not tonight.
We did last
Oh, you missed that too. You spent all the money without you.
Give them pizza. Give them pizza and they spend money. No pizza next
We'll have
week.
more for you next time.
No pizza next week.
And so we're not doing individual contracts because they're
Right,
coming back.
but we're gonna do a reaffirmation vote on the school committee legal counsel and just explain that Mark has been our attorney, worked for a law firm. He is gonna leave and go to another firm, but when we hired him, and whether he was at X, Y, or Z company or firm, didn't really matter. We hired him, and he's willing to stay on, to transfer to another firm, and stay on as our counsel. So it would take a motion a second to make that happen.
A motion.
Go ahead.
A motion to.
Sandy's a
reaffirm
second?
Legal counsel.
And is there any questions or comments about that?
No, I think he knows our system very well and has been very responsive. And, I've worked very closely with him for many years and feel that that is an appropriate direction.
Yep.
That good? All in favor? Those opposed? Okay. We'll get passed that on to Mark and let him know he's
Still us.
still gainfully employed here at the colorful members of the school committee here in Leominster. Okay, now we'll get to new and old business. New and old business, anybody? Miss Sandra, yes.
Do we have a representative from this committee for the Fallbrook Building Committee? Because Brandon was on it. Do we have a representative from our group?
It was a long, I was not able to continue. So if somebody else can,
It is the mayor.
Oh.
perfect.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Why, do you want to be on it or something?
Well,
It's your word, so.
I'd like to make a motion. Sandra is.
Sandy, would you like to be a part of it?
I have time.
Actually, Sandy, you know who asked me is Sue Kohler had asked me if she could be on it. So
She's not a school committee member.
No, I'm the school committee representative.
Oh.
So I'll talk to her and see if how serious she was.
Can we have two school committee?
She's right on that.
Right, but could we have two school committee members on it, you and Sandra?
You can only have a limit on how many members you can have.
You have another role. When they give you the listing, you have to have a city council
Right.
person. You're
Mayor and school committee. All right, let's just check with Craig to see if we can have, and if that's the case, then we can just add you both, because we had two empties, one's full. So if that's the case, we can add one. All right?
All right.
And we'll do it before the next school committee meeting, the next city council meeting, because that's when your name would have to go in by this Thursday.
Okay, yeah, it's right around, it's my district.
Yes.
Yeah. My children went there.
Yeah.
Or one of my children.
You don't have to tell us how old or young you are. It's okay. We didn't ask that question.
I'll leave it.
I'm just teasing.
29.
No, it would be very nice. It would be very nice.
Be careful.
It would be very nice.
Yeah, you'd be very careful.
Yeah, it's okay.
You could hurt my feelings.
I'm not gonna hurt your feelings.
Take a lot.
I handed a diploma, and the young lady texted me after graduation, said, "You gave me my diploma, 1994." And then 10 minutes later, sent me a picture saying, "You just gave my daughter her diploma." Well, I mean, yeah, but I won't tell anybody that stuff.
That's nice.
The problem will be, the problem, I did, and the problem will be, if I give the granddaughter, now we're really in trouble. That's the point. All right, so I'll check on that for you. It'd be great to have you on there, even though we're halfway done the project and now you want to jump into it. I'm kidding. Sandy, you gotta understand, I'm just teasing. Okay, so,
Anything else for new and old?
yes, on the new old business, Superintendent, have you communicated with Clark University at all lately about anything? If not, maybe next meeting we can do an update.
So I have a team
Awesome.
that's working with them, and so we can give you an update next meeting.
Yeah, so next meeting we'll give you an update as to what's happening, and that's really going well, and it's pretty exciting, so I'm pumped. So, good stuff. Anybody else with anything?
Do we have a date or time for us to meet with the city council subcommittee?
What happened is I communicated with Brandon Robbins, who had asked me, and I asked him if he would come to this meeting. He said his thought was that the school committee would go to the city council meeting. So he said he was going to bring it up at the next city council meeting.
All right, so the future date. Yeah.
And have the clerk send a formal request.
We also asked for an agenda of topics too.
Yes, 3 or 4 topics that he would like to discuss.
And I think initially we were under the impression that it was with the subcommittee over school, not with everyone.
I actually think it's in the charter that the school committee and the city council are supposed to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're not going to meet 4 times a year, violation. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Well, I was gonna say, I met with them for a very long time trying to get our increase in stipend. So
That was
would've
boot
been
camp.
more than 4
That was
times.
boot camp.
We got 6 of them. We got 6 of them.
I'm just teasing, but.
And I wasn't able to attend the Skyview. I somehow or another I missed, they had a dinner, supper thing, pancake breakfast the other day. I don't know. I gotta say, I saw the band perform and they're really good. And I just want to highlight the fact that there's so much talent in all of these buildings. It's pretty impressive. And we need to get them out into the community so people can see them perform. I don't know what the next, so if anybody here works somewhere, you want to do something really special, maybe you invite the students in to perform somewhere, because we really need the public to see this talent. They were really good.
Should have had them at Flamingo thing this morning.
Yeah, well, that would have meant
Oh, what
absence from school.
Did you see a shadow or no?
Yes, for us, if you see a shadow, it means early spring.
No,
No, that's the rat. That's the rat. Nobody pays attention to that rat. He goes back in the hole and nobody talks about him for the next year, so. Bingo, it's a love fest all year. All right, anything else under new or old business?
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Those opposed can stay here.